Marvel Rivals Season 4.5 drops tomorrow, and today I'm going to be going over 10 of the best characters to pick, or 10 of the biggest winners come Season 4.5, so you can get a slight edge or a jump on the competition. Whether it's a Vanguard, a Duelist, and even a Strategist, this is something you definitely don't want to miss out on. And while we're still here, we managed to reach 30,000 subscribers, which is incredible. I can't thank you all enough. So if you still haven't subscribed yet, might as well subscribe and join the pond. We're almost to 50,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely insane. While you're at it, also make sure to hit that like button and hype the video. It's one of the best ways of helping out the channel. But regardless, I can't thank you all enough for watching. I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Now, diving into our first hero of Season 4.5, in my opinion, one of the biggest winners has to be Venom. Now, Venom in Season 4 and Season 3.5 was an extremely powerful character, whether you want to believe it or not. Although he has a decently high skill ceiling, so you have to be pretty proficient with engages and disengages, the character could literally one-shot with his ultimate ability if teamed up with a Luna Snow damage boost or just doing the perfect combo. You see this character pick bans a lot of the times in high elo and in pro play, and it's a good reason. The character is strong. Now in Season 4.5, this character saw a buff to his ultimate. It now applies a 30% healing reduction to enemies hit lasting 4 seconds. Now that healing reduction honestly isn't really anything special. It is 10% less than Blade's overall healing reduction that he applies to characters, but because they're adding this new buff, which I actually think is good for the game, it just means that this character is going to be getting picked a lot more now because people want to be testing out his buffed ultimate and people are going to be using his ultimate a lot more now. Now, whether this 30% healing reduction actually matters is up to debate, because if you're damage boosted by a Luna, regardless if you have that healing reduction or not, you still one-shot people inside of that ultimate. But besides that, I think Venom is an extremely strong character, definitely a character that needs to be played a ton. I think he fits into a lot of different team compositions, especially to the triple strategists. It's just a very good character to have, to be able to one-shot through, you know, those 2 tranks or those 3 tranks that you have to deal with. And what I mean by tranks is a strategist ultimate, tranks the defensive ultimates, whether it's a Luna Snow, Mantis, Rocket, Invisible Woman, you get the picture. Besides that, the character hasn't really received any nerfs or changes or fixes. All it was a buff to his ultimate, so he's definitely going to be seeing a lot more play. And I honestly think if you can get good at Venom, you can pretty much be good at any single Vanguard in the entire game. So definitely a character I recommend, and definitely one of the biggest winners come Season 4.5. But like always, let me know what you think about all of the characters I have listed in the comments down below. I always love to hear the feedback, interacting with you guys. So again, let me know. Now moving to our first biggest winner for the Duelist section, in my personal opinion, it has to be Psylocke. Now you might be wondering why Psylocke. Well, Psylocke has been a little bit on the lower end of picking because we're running a triple strategist, and it's hard to play Psylocke into triple strategist. We all know that. You can play Psylocke into triple strategist, but the Psylocke player has to be perfect. They have to do perfect timing, perfect combos to one-shot one strategist. But now they're buffing her ultimate. They're reducing her self-slow rate during the Dance of the Butterfly ultimate ability from 30% to 15%, and they're increasing each strike's damage from a 150 to 170. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot to her ultimate, but it is a massive change. I think Psylocke now is a character that you can definitely be looking to pick a lot more in ranked play and high elo play in general. Now, especially because there was no changes to Emma Frost, the character is still extremely strong. That team up is still a super viable option for Psylocke to have. I think basically this buff just means she's going to get picked a lot more now, especially if Emma Frost is open and not banned in any of the matches. I think the ult combination, like I was talking about, in combination with her team up is just too deadly to pass up on. And basically because her ultimate is getting buffed in terms of damage, it just means that in terms of players stacking inside of her ultimate, maybe you have to think twice before stacking with the rest of your team. Or you have to watch out by taking other sorts of outside damage so you don't get instantly deleted by Psylocke now. With that being said, I do believe that the buff made to Psylocke was definitely warranted. I think some sort of change was needed to her. I'm glad that they went the route of, you know, the ultimate rather than this the pure damage in general. So for one of my biggest DPS winners for this season of Season 4.5, it definitely has to be Psylocke. So again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now with our first 2 heroes out of the way, let's talk about our strategist role. Now in terms of strategists, there's a lot of characters that went unchecked in Season 4.5. Now I think the first strategist we have to talk about, that's one of the biggest winners probably in the entire game, still has to be Luna Snow. Look, Luna Snow got a nerf in Season 3, we all know that. She got 2 seconds off of her ultimate. It's nothing special. She is still an extremely strong strategist, hands down. She still gives 30% healing amplification and 40% damage boost in her ultimate when you alternate between the two. She slots into many different team compositions as a main strategist and is still probably the most dominant strategist in the entire game, unfortunately. Even with triple strategist being such a crucial meta right now and being such a big meta, that character is pretty much picked all the time in that triple strategist slot. I don't really see a world until they actually nerf her hard where she's not going to be at the top of the list. The character is just insane, both in terms of damage, utility, healing, the whole 9 yards. Everything that could possibly be into a strategist or into a character, Luna Snow has to a T. I think a lot of the meta revolves around Luna's damage boost regardless, so I think the character is probably a must pick or a must ban in most scenarios. But like always, what do you think in the comments down below? Now, moving on to our secondary Vanguard and third Vanguard, I'm gonna combine the two, and it's Magneto and Emma Frost. Look, these characters haven't received any changes really ever, and they're still at the top of their class. These characters are absolutely insane. If you're looking to pick up a Vanguard, definitely recommend these two. They've been dominant since their release, and look, it doesn't seem like anything's changing. Yes, some meta things might change. They might fall out of the meta based on their position as a more dive comp. Shields aren't as necessary as before, but I still think if you do pick them, they have a great chance of carrying your matches, carrying your games, and just doing a ton of damage. There's pretty much no counterplay to a lot of these characters. They just do pretty much everything. So again, if you're looking to pick up, any Vanguard, so our second and third winner for the Vanguard slot has to be Emma Frost and Magneto, and it doesn't seem there's really going to be anything changing with that. And I think Emma Frost is a great way to shut down characters like Venom, like Hulk, like Thing, like a lot of these diving Vanguards, or even an Angela. Angela has definitely seen a lot more play, but with Emma Frost in the game, it's going to be a lot harder to really do anything. So these characters still remain top of the class, and I don't see them getting changed anytime soon. Maybe Emma Frost, but that's about it. And moving on to our next duelist, I think a big winner, in my opinion, is actually Daredevil. I think Daredevil brings a very unique kit to Marvel Rivals, and if it's from early access to the live service game, then the character is absolutely insane. But don't get that warned, the character is absolutely insane, but he does take a lot of time and skill. The character is rather difficult to master. There's a lot of niche tech that you have to understand, and you need to understand the playstyle as well. You're a flanker, but besides that, I think his potential to do a ton of damage, potential to do a significant amount of useful utility in any sort of team fight is extremely beneficial to the team as a whole. Especially with triple strategists being such a big thing, I think having a character like this who can kind of blind one of the healers, make them get a little disoriented or discombobulated for a short second, will really throw things off. So that being said, I think one of the biggest winners come to Season 4.5 is none other than Daredevil. Like I said, does take some skill to master, does take quite a lot of time to understand. And you might be wondering, how do I know this? Well, I got early access, so I got to test everything and just figure out the combos and everything like that. And if you want to see all of the combos, make sure to stay tuned for Saturday, October 11th for my Daredevil guide. It's definitely worth a watch. I have a lot of tech under wraps. Definitely recommend checking it out. Now, in terms of the biggest winners for our next strategists, 2 and 3, it goes without saying that a lot of the triple supports or the triple strategists, whether it's Mantis, Jeff, Ultron, Adam, Rocket, whatever, are all decently big winners, mainly due to the fact that they didn't get any changes, which is actually insane in my opinion. Specifically, a character like Ultron, they nerfed his healing by 5, and they nerfed his healing bonus as well by 5, so both his right click and just his default healing. But they did increase the energy cost of the Rage of Ultron, which is a nice touch, but the whole reason why Ultron was so annoying, at least in my opinion, in the opinions of a lot of other high elo and pro players, is that he just does a ton of damage. That is the biggest reason to why he was picked all the time in a triple strategist composition. Not necessarily the healing, but the damage. You can literally cross map people, so I don't really understand why they're not going for the nerf on that. So for one of the biggest winners, he's still a big winner in my eyes, because yes, again, they did touch his healing, but it's not enough to really change anything about the character overall. And in terms of Mantis, Jeff, Adam Warlock, none of those characters were changed whatsoever. So again, they are still all extremely strong. There's nothing wrong with picking them still in Season 4.5. And Triple Strategist is still going to be the biggest thing, or the biggest meta composition you're going to be dealing with. Aside from that, I would say Rocket is up there as well. Rocket received a buff to where his damage amplification from his ultimate now does 40% instead of the previous, 25 or 25. It's now at 40%, the same as Luna Snow. The character is good. Don't get me wrong, he's good in certain situations, especially in goats if you're trying to spawn hold people. But against the Phoenix, he pretty much has zero impact in my opinion. If you ban Phoenix, then this character is going to shine even more. And I think with the Venom buff, you have a Rocket, Luna, and you have a permanent damage boost Venom ult whenever. And it's pretty much a guaranteed one-shot pretty much 9 times out of 10, no matter who you're playing against. So that is something to definitely be looking out for. Besides that, I think most of the strategists are perfectly fine to pick, except for Rocket if Phoenix is in the game. Besides that, I think every strategist is in a very good spot right now. It's unfortunate because it seems like all the supports are relatively the same. I wish they were a little bit more unique, but hopefully we see that with characters coming along in Season 5, in Season 5.5, and so on. Now, circling again back to our Duelist section, yes, I've included a couple Duelists or a couple Strategists or a couple Vanguards in one condensed section because a lot of the characters remain the same from Season 4 to Season 4.5, unfortunately. I wish there was bigger changes, but we get what we get, essentially. We can't really do anything about it. But for our first Duelist, we have none other than Hela, and they're reducing her Astral Flock startup cast time so you can instantly press shift and you basically instantly get into the crow form and slowly move around. Then Hela gains 25 bonus health. Look, this change was not needed whatsoever. The character was extremely strong. Yes, she wasn't in the best spot because of the meta, because it's triple strategist and you have Phoenix in the game, so Hela wasn't the best pick or the best pick in slots, however you want to describe it. But with these changes and some changes to Phoenix, maybe we'll see Hela played a little bit more or on par of Phoenix. Now, the other big winner, believe it or not, is Phoenix. You might be thinking, whoa, Phoenix is dead because the melee attacks no longer stack sparks. Yes, that certainly is true. That was a core feature, exploit, whatever you want to call it, with Phoenix's kit. However, the character's base damage with her primary attack, her secondary attack stun, her ultimate, none of that damage numbers are changing. The character is still extremely strong. The character is still going to be a S++ character. You can argue and debate that because the melee tech is gone, the character is nerfed to the ground. No, that certainly is not the case. The character is still extremely strong. Now, instead of playing it like, I guess, frontline to midline, you actually have to play it like Hela. You have to go for off angles. You're supposed to play the sniper how you're supposed to play the sniper instead of just playing it as a melee character. Oh no, the world is healing. It's great that Phoenix is getting this removed. It should have never been in the game in the first place. They even said it was an exploit in earlier, news reports on Phoenix herself. So I'm glad it's gone, but it definitely should have been removed a little bit faster. And the character still needs nerfs to her overall kit. The character still does an insane amount of damage, and it's pretty obvious how dominant the character is, regardless if you want to agree with me or not. The character is either pick or ban. Now, I do want to give one honorable mention, and that's to Blade. They're increasing his Daywalker Dash secondary attack range from 4.5 meters to 6.5. Basically, what this means is when you press shift on Blade, you lunge forward. If you hit a target, you shoot them and they get knocked back a little bit. Now, if you dash in, shoot them, and then they get knocked back, you have a longer radius, or you can be a little bit further away for that shot to land and apply the reduced healing, or the slow if you're using the sword shift. So pretty good change overall, definitely needed. I still think that when Blade shifts, it should be an instant reduced reduction because you can still miss the shot even though it connects. It's a little complex and a little weird, but that's just my opinion. Then they're increasing the duration of each slash speed attack gained during Bloodline Awakening from 0.7 seconds to 1. And then there's a new effect, landing all 4 hits of Whirlwind Slash grants you 1 slash speed stack. So overall, a fantastic buff to Blade. This character definitely needs a lot more love to be on par of other duelists in this game, but I do like the direction they're going. I understand that if they were to introduce a character with anti-heal effects or reduce healing effects right away that was super overpowered, it would be pretty miserable for people. I understand why they're not doing it that way, but they could be a little bit more aggressive with buffs and nerfs in my opinion. I think doing that is always the better option. I think going super aggressive with the buffs and nerfs is a better thing instead of people just waning and waiting and waiting until their favorite character is finally on par of others. So I think if they just really went for super hard buffs, super hard nerfs, and then slowly tuned them back in, it would be a way better system. But anyways, that was my little best winners, best 10 winners, whatever you want to call it, for season 4.5 or in the upcoming season 4.5 change on October 10th. Also, make sure to check out my Daredevil guide coming out on October 11th at 9 a.m. CST. So if you want to be able to watch that, get some first-hand experience, get all the tech under your belt, then highly encourage you checking that out when it releases. So in order to do that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. But anyways, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.